What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for June 3rd, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. We were so close. So close. Phillies drop another one. They're fifth in a row, fourth straight within the division, 8-7. They did battle back and show some fight. They came back and tied it up in the eighth. Unfortunately, I was not watching because once it was 7-1, I decided it was not worth my time to watch. But they came back, battled back, tied it up, only to give up the lead in the bottom of the eighth. But I guess you could take away from that there was some fight in that team. I don't know. It's extremely frustrating. They more on some of the stuff later, but it's a pivotal next couple weeks. I'm actually starting to see stories now that we had these high hopes and thinking they were going to go to the playoffs and kind of run it back. And now they're questioning whether they're going to be buyers or sellers. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, they're over the luxury tax threshold by a lot, I believe. So if they keep continuing down this path, they could be looking to shed some salary and get something for guys. Aaron Nola's name is one that keeps coming up. He is set to be a free agent at the end of this year. They've started working on contract negotiations, like an extension in the offseason. Apparently, they're very far apart. He could be, I think he was ranked, I read, the third best pitching free agent to hit the market next year. So it could mean if they go down this road, get rid of him for some draft picks or something, because the way it works in Major League Baseball, if they don't re-sign him or if he walks, they only get compensated like a pick after the fourth round because they're over the luxury tax threshold. So it'll be an interesting month of June, and I would say we'll know a lot more about where this team stands at the end of the month, headed into the 4th of July. But it's brutal. I do like, if you'd like to bet like me, I do think that they bounce back and do win today. I kind of like them on the run line. I haven't seen the price yet, but there's no way. This is what they do: 4, 5, 6 games in a row, and then they come back and they'll tease us the rest of the weekend, and we'll go from there. But another tough one for the Phils, especially with Wheeler on the mound. But I think that's where we are as this team. Like, I don't know what they need to do to wake up. But we are going to go a little bit out of order because I think the way they played yesterday lends itself very, very nicely into what today's This Day in Philly Sports History is. And on this day, June 3rd, we don't have to go back far. We're going to go back to last year. This was the day that everything changed. This was when Joe Girardi was fired after posting a 22-29 record to open the season. Rob Thompson was named the interim manager, led them 65-46 the rest of the way. We know what happened. They got hot, they got hot in the postseason, I should say. They didn't really get hot in September. And if you think about it, this is the way they played leading into the playoffs. They kind of backed in. This is roughly about how they were then. They were just not timely hitting. Pitching was letting them down. But once they got in, they were able to take advantage of it. And we had that magical run last fall to ending in the World Series defeat by the hands of the Houston Astros. But for those keeping score at home, the record currently now is 25-32. So they're about 3 games better right now than where they were last year. Just to put things into perspective, that if they could get hot and get it rolling, it's not over, but they just need to be consistent and not have bad innings like a Little League team and play good fundamental. My son has a baseball game today, and that's basically what we're teaching him. Fundamentals. Don't do silly mistakes. So we'll see if it works out. As I said, this day in Philly sports history ties in perfectly with this team, the way they're playing. Like, do they have to keep changing managers every year to get them motivated? And at that point, is it the manager or is it the players? And I mean, I think Rob Thompson, rightfully so, just in general is getting a lot of heat. So is Dombrowski, but I mentioned this the other day. This is on the players. Like, this is not on the manager. This is not on the general manager. You need to get your head out of your asses and play. And I'm hoping that the fight that they showed last night will carry over. We'll see, though. I mean, they're frustrating. That's all I can say. You know what's not frustrating? PhillyGoat.com. Father's Day is coming up, and they have a wide selection of Philly sports-based apparel. I was looking last night just to see what new additions they had to the Phillies line, because I do get emails from them if you sign up for their listserv. That's how old I am. I'm talking about listservs, but their mailing list. They'll send you when there's deals and new arrivals. They were promoting the Philadelphia Sillies shirt, which basically is the Phillies shirt, but with an S for the Sillies. They had a whole line of that. Might be something fun if they continue down this road to just buy and wear it to a game, kind of like the old school football fans that used to put bags over their head. We're just going to wear the Sillies shirt. But PhillyGoat.com, great for all your Father's Day shopping. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off your order. That's PhillyGoat.com. All right, Union in action tonight up in Montreal, looking to continue their good, decent play of late. And I do apologize for my voice and my nose. It's allergies are killing me. Like, it's cooler. I just need it to rain for like 2 weeks straight. Like Noah's Ark rain. Wash all this pollen away. Sixers, Nick Nurse has been doing the media rounds. And two of the big things takeaways from what I've seen as far as players, he really likes Maxey, and based on his history, I think he's going to maximize, and I mentioned this before, but I think he's really going to unlock the potential of Tyrese Maxey and really get him going and turn him loose. He also, I think it's going to come down to Joe's toughness and mental state on where he wants to go, but I think he's going to have some things in line for Joe, so I'm excited to see how that goes. One of his strong suits is, like I said, maximizing the ability of his players. Like I said, that's the exciting part for me. One thing he said that I like, but I think he needs to tread lightly with this is he's not really worried about what happened in the past. It has no impact on what he's going to do, this, that, and the other, which is fine. But just be careful, Nick, because that's easy for you to say because you weren't here. We're on edge with this team, and we want this to kind of work out. And like I said, it's easy for you to say I'm not worried about the past, but we're living the past. So just tread lightly there and don't get yourself in trouble in your first couple weeks on the job. Back to the Future, we dropped a couple episodes the past few weeks about the Sixers, part of the mourning process. Speaking of living in history, we talked about the AI Larry Brown era 2 weeks ago. This week's episode, we talk about the 1986 Sixers offseason. So go check that out. Back to the Future with a PH wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, leave us a review. Every little bit helps. All right, it is rivalry month, and today we're going to focus on the college game a little bit and talk about the Connecticut Huskies. They are an interesting team because they're a rival of not one but two of our local college teams. Pretty much mostly the rival of Villanova from the old Big East days. They kind of had that rivalry in the 90s where UConn was good, Villanova was good with Kerry Kittles and teams like that. And then they left. UConn left the Big East to go join the American to focus on football. And that's where they became a rival of Temple, albeit a short time when they were in the AAC. And then UConn back in the Big East. And I will say Big East basketball is amazing. So UConn Nova is always good. And that's both for the men's and the women's. Like the past year or two, the UConn, or actually basically since they've been back in the Big East, the UConn-Villanova women's rivalry has been amazing. And that's some very, very good high-level college basketball. When they were at Temple, It seemed like the basketball team was kind of down. It was the end of the Kevin Ollie era. So they were basically both mediocre teams then. Temple seemed to always have the edge for them in football. But I do, ranking wise, it's I'm not necessarily a Nova. More of a Big Ten guy when it comes to football. So it was good to see UConn not pursue the football and go back to the Big East because that basketball is good. I'm not very much of a UConn hater, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that Rip Hamilton, who I went to high school with, went to UConn, so I have a kind of a soft spot. But I know recently the Nova UConn rivalry has really ratcheted up. So today's rival is the Connecticut Huskies. For all you Villanova fans out there will be more on some of your bigger rivals coming up. But for now, it's UConn and that rivalry. Like I said, both on the men's and women's sides, it's a pretty decent rivalry and good basketball. And yeah, I mean, I'm just dying for good basketball. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. This is the anniversary of Joe Girardi getting fired and the Phillies making that run. Don't know what it means. Hopefully we can do the same thing this year. I'm not going to hold my breath, though. Be sure to check phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Back to the Future, wherever you get your podcasts with a PH. Be sure to like and subscribe. Go enjoy this beautiful Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.